So we've got our little bit of audio now, and we've got a little bit of take 7 and a little bit of take 6. So basically, when the sequencer runs, it will play the first part of take 7, then it will jump to the second part of take 6, and we have a composited bit of audio, and you can see the icon over here is showing that. And you'll see in the clip overview area that very sharp jump from take 7 to take 6 is reflected. So we've got to do something about that. Now, if I look at this cut handle, just above there's a tiny little pointer, and if I click on that and drag to the right, I'm going to have a little crossfade between the two clips. See what that's done.
Deep in the ocean or out into space. Deep in the ocean or out into space.
Okay, and obviously you can mess around with that until you could get rid of that jump. It's difficult, obviously, because obviously it takes 7. If you look at it, is if I just go to the single take, it's a solid chunk of audio there. Whereas with take 6, I had a nice gap there. But you know, you get the general idea. Those crossfades are really handy, and they give you just a little option of getting rid of the noise. So just mess around with those.
Deep in the ocean or out into space.
It's not bad. Obviously, it's very noticeable at the moment because there's no track behind it, but with the track thundering underneath that, I'm guessing you'd never notice that at all. If you're not happy with the timing, you could quite easily just get hold of this bit of take 6 and you could just drag it. If I move it over, you see, it's going to come later, and I can drag it this way and it's going to come earlier. And there's a few options of this. If you hold the command key down and press the arrow keys, it jumps to the snap setting. Now, even though snap's not on, snap is set at 1/4 at the moment, so you'll see it's jumping in 1/4 beat increments. If I set the snap to a bar, now watch what happens. Jumps the whole bar because it's jumped right out the screen there. Okay, so that's a good little thing. If you hold down Alt Command and use the arrow key, the clip or the take will move in increments of just a tick, and it's just a tiny amount. You can see that moving in up there in the recording offset. Okay, and if you hold down Shift Command and the arrow key, the take or the clip will move in beats. Let's go up to this one and do it. So, you know, that's a really good way of moving the actual audio around. If you're not happy with the time, you can make it earlier, later, but that's a nice thing to be able to do. And by the way, if you do this, it doesn't affect any data on the clips either side of this. So if I was doing this on a track that had clips to the left or the right, even though I was doing this, it wouldn't alter the timing of those clips, which is worth knowing, isn't it? If you look at the top here, you can see that if I drag the clip to the left or the right, the recording offset is changing, so it's moving in relation to the main recording. If you get lost with this, just double click this, press Alt on the keyboard, press return, and then everything jumps back to where it was. And this one's got a little bit lost as well, so I'll do the same thing there, and we're back to where we were.
Deep in the ocean or out into space.
Okay, so that's a handy thing. Now at the moment I'm on take 6. I can change the level of it. Now if I change the level, look at the slider to the side of take 6, and you'll see it's dropping down as I drop down and going up. Obviously this and this are the same thing. And I can transpose this, I can change the key of it, so I can do it in actual semitones. I move it up a semitone.
Deep in the ocean or out into space.
Sounds a bit weird, isn't it? But it's a good way of doing it. That's a bit too harsh, isn't it? What I would do, if this is a bit out of tune, is I select it, and I ordinarily find if I'm a bit flat, if I move it up to about 0.21.
Ocean or out into space. Deep in the ocean or out into space.
You hear that's tuned it up quite subtly, And yes, you have got Neptune for doing pitch alteration, but I actually find this is absolutely fine. I've used this extensively in my songs, and provided you don't go too crazy with it, it is really good just for pitching up the odd word. If you just identify a particular word, this is completely out of compositing, just in general, it's really, really handy. So you can actually do a little bit of repair work on your tuning using this function. Just going to set that back to 0. In the next video, I'm going to show you some very useful keyboard shortcuts.